Let me say that I support all the bills that has been listed, and if I make a particular mention of the amendment to the State Lands Act, and of course, as a former Minister for Agriculture, the amendment on the Biosecurity Act and the Fruit Export and Marketing Act, plus there's so many other bills that are part of the consequential bill that we are discussing in the motion today, Mr. Speaker, sir. But a lot has been said about Bill number 17, and of course, perhaps I'll focus my contribution as well on Bill number 17, Mr. Speaker, sir. Again, I don't want to repeat most of what has been said, but for me personally, when the bill came, I had a lot of questions from friends, from those that I know, and I did some sort of research on the bill itself, because as the previous speakers have stated, Honorable Speakers, that laws are subject to interpretation, and the Honorable Tigun Tewandua has said that correctly, and of course it depends on which side you are on when it's in the court system, whether you are in the prosecution or you are in the defense. So it's the same law, but how it's being interpreted. And for me, as a member of parliament, I did not want to listen to all the advices. I respect the advices and, of course, legal opinions as well, but I wanted to know the facts. That's something that I made it clear to myself so that I can also respond to the concerns and the questions raised by people that I know. And that has always been my philosophy as well, Mr. Speaker, so particularly when you are in politics. And I had a bit of discussion with the Honorable Rofilipe Tuiswao a few days back, because we are in a very difficult position. But and of course we have our political agendas, but then it does not stop the fact that I am still a citizen of this country. And as an Itoke, I have my family, I have my Toka, I have my Matangali, I have my Abusa, and I'm part of a landowning unit. And particularly when I am in politics, Mr. Speaker, sir, I usually am very careful about political issues and how I convey this to the very people that are very close to me. And here is a challenge for each and every one of us in this honorable house. I don't know how many of the people that signed the petitions have actually read the bill. And what explanation, what advice have they been given that led them to that decision to sign the petition? Were they informed of the facts so that they can make informed decisions? And for me, Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm always careful about this, because in the end, after all these politics, I will go back to my village, as you very well understand, Mr. Speaker, sir. And I will have to face my family. I will have to face my Matangali and the Abusa. And I have friends.
They have their lawyers.
So I have to be careful that always, this is my own personal philosophy, I have to share the truth, speak facts. If they ask me about the debt in government, I always try my best to explain to them how we have accumulated these debts and what does it mean, the economy of the state and how it functions. These are the things that we have to do as honorable members for all issues, not only on land issue, Mr. Speaker, sir. So I plead with all honorable members, politics aside, we have a responsibility, because these are our very own people. Are we telling them the truth? Of course, this bill is subject to interpretation, but let's talk facts. and let's speak the truth. Because in the end, I always say this, when I finish, they still have to trust me. I don't have to be saying this when I'm here in the job, and then when I go back to the village, and then somebody will point a finger at me and say, no, you didn't tell us the truth. This is what you did. I'm always very careful about that, Mr. Speaker, sir. It's about character that defines people, defines leaders. Are we honorable? Are we telling the truth? There is a challenge to all of us.
Honorable means consultation.
I'm sorry that people are being interviewed by the police. The police are doing their job because of the mistakes. So, what has happened in the past? We don't want Subu to be burned again. So whatever statements that we are making, let's do it with responsibility, because words are powerful. So let's tread cautiously, Mr. Speaker, sir. We understand the sensitivity of the issues, but let's look at the facts, Mr. Speaker, sir. So this is what I did. I went into the office, reminded me of the old JSO days, where you have the Constitution, and you have the MML, and you have the Queen's Reg, and you have the admin instructions, standing orders, volume 1 and volume 2, and all the admin instructions, because you need to go down to the facts. The Constitution is the mother law, and anything inconsistent with this Constitution is nullified. I think that's in section 2 of the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, sir. So if we are saying, Honorable Leader of the SUDELPA party, that just by virtue of the not consulting the people, it takes away the very rights that are here, no. Because it has to be consistent. Whatever laws that are made has to be consistent with the Constitution. And 28 protects the rights of every Itoke. Section 28. Mr. Speaker, sir. So it's not just a lack of consultation that takes away all the rights and what are the exact words that were used by the Honorable Leader of SUDELPA party. Let me just have a look here, Mr. Speaker, sir. 2013 Constitution sounds hollow when there is no consultation. Any law that has to be made has to be consistent with the mother law. And this law prevents the permanent alienation of Itoke land. I say that again. Any law, so it does not, it's not hollow.
Order.
Because this is the supreme law. This is, this is the supreme law, Mr. Speaker, sir. And section 2, let me read the section 2 of the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, sir. I'm not a lawyer, but this is the facts that I've get. Okay, we'll come to the consultation later on. Because now,
Order.
we are just looking at the consultation issue.
Don't carry on
And
the
of course,
consultation.
thank you, Mr. This Constitution is the supreme law of the state. Subject to the provisions of this Constitution, any law inconsistent with this Constitution is invalid to the extent of the inconsistency. I hope that a party leader is in a position to provide that advice to the people rather than collecting petitions. Mr. Speaker, this is the reality and this is the truth I'm talking about as honorable members of this House.
Order. 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 You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. That's our responsibility as honorable members of this House. Politics in Fiji thrives on rumors of fear and feared rumors. That has been the trend in Fiji for so long. It thrives on rumors of fear and feared rumors.
Order.
Where is this fear coming from? From us, the politicians, when we are not revealing the truth to the people.
Order.
It must stop now.
Salt.
That has
Tell
always
them
been the
the
case,
truth.
Mr. Speaker. And unfortunately, without them knowing,
Order. You have the floor.
Mr. Speaker, are we going to allow this to continue? We have a responsibility to inform our people about.
Consultation.
Order.
Exactly.
I will come to the consultation. I will come to the consultation. But facts, so that they are not being misled. Because that has been the problem from the past, Mr. Speaker, sir. People come into Parliament, people come into, without knowing why they are there. They are being used by politicians. Like I said, Mr. Speaker, sir, how many of these thousands that have signed the petition have already seen the bill itself, let alone understanding what the amendments are for?
Order.
I've made my point, Mr. Speaker, sir. So, I've looked at that. And then, I'm also a lessee. I've got my lease documents here. And then, I looked at what is the amendment and what's laid out in this document. The Honorable Leader of the Opposition knows this very well. I studied this in detail. I am obligated under the covenant of this lease, the lessee hereby covenants with the lessor as follows. I have a responsibility here, and of course the lessor, TLTB, has a responsibility to look after the interests of the landowners as the trustee to ensure that the terms and conditions that are here, I can't just go and do anything that is not consistent with this, Mr. Speaker, sir. So the TLTB, as the trustee, they have a responsibility to look after the interests of the landowners. And Mr. Speaker, sir, let's demarcate between reserve land, where we have customary rights, and we also have the customary access rights, and of course, what's being leased, because that involves legal rights of access, and the role that TLTB plays within that, the Honorable Leader of the Opposition knows this intimately. As a former employee of the then Native Land Trust Board, and of course as a former lands minister, and of course as a prominent chief. Let's not mix the three, Mr. Speaker, sir, when it comes to this bill. Let's not mix the three, because it's a different issue when we talk about reserved land. Kov. And nothing in that arrangement changes in this amendment. This is about the land that has been de-reserved. So when it comes to de-reserved land, Mr. Speaker, sir, the TLTB is administering and doing all the work on behalf of the landowner. That should be clear, Mr. Speaker, sir. So when it comes to consultation, technically and legally, because we are only dealing with leased land, consultation is with the lessor, which is TLTB in this case. Let's not. We respect the landowners, Mr. Speaker, sir. Definitely. respect the landowners. And the system about leasing land in Fiji, that does not change. Does not change.
Draw the bill.
And this is the bill. And the protection, it's here, Mr. Speaker, sir. We have a responsibility as the lessee to the lessor and, of course, to the landowners who, in good faith, gave up the land for lease. Mr. Speaker, sir, I don't know. There has been farmers before me in that piece of land in Seganga that I lease for cane farming.
Sorry?
From then, when Ratumara started Seganga in the 70s, until last year, then I was able to bring water to the lease.
Okay, but I need to...
All the tenants that have been there, none of them had water. A basic necessity. I have to go and ask for consent, which I did, just to get water
Tell them.
into that lease, Mr. Speaker, sir. I still don't have electricity, something that we are working on. And through that, Mr. Speaker, sir, the neighboring farmer, he has benefited from it. And of course, it has again, we've taken it across the river now. Even the landowning unit from the other side are benefiting from that water, Mr. Speaker, sir. Talking about basic necessities, because this is
Mr. Minister.
something that
Mr. Lanu,
it's good for the farmers. Honorable Biman Prasad.
Consent.
Don't just ask about the cottage fee and whatever. This is more important to the farmer. I am a farmer. I know it.
The value of the
It's
farmer.
important, Mr. Speaker, sir. And I see the merits in this, again, without taking away, and we respect the landowners. But government definitely will look at the consultations, because it's only a minor amendment. And I've said, Mr. Speaker, sir, the consultation will have to be led by TLTB, because they are the trustee and they are the lessor.
Order.
Mr. Speaker, sir,
Yes,
the problem is we have interpreted it, and then we have disseminated it, and then we have brought, unfortunately, the landowners into it because of the politics that we are looking forward to. Because the election is coming up in 2022.
We never consult.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the Honorable Ngaboka was talking about land being the sanctity of the land and about shifting the borders. This amendment is not about shifting the borders at all, according to Deuteronomy 19:14 that he quoted the other day. Permanent alienation is in violation of God's law. I say that again. Permanent alienation is inconsistent with what God instituted for the people of Israel. If we want to quote from the Bible, I'll read Leviticus 25:23. This is for all the chiefs of the country and all the governments that will come after or in the future. This is the law. The land must never be sold on a permanent basis, for the land belongs to me. You are only foreigners and tenant farmers working for me. So, whether it was an exchange, whether it was whatever, it's inconsistent, and that's why we have Section 28 in the Act, so that this will never happen again. Mr. Speaker, sir, let's get the facts right. We have a responsibility to our people. It's here as a consequential bill because of the situation that we are in. During crisis, Mr. Speaker, sir, if we study the economies, it helps us to go back to basics. And basics is primary industries, agriculture, fisheries, forestry. That depends on the land. And if we want the economy to grow and we want to diversify based on the current situation, such amendments are necessary, and that's why it's in the consequential bill so that Fiji can move forward. We need economic security for national security. We also need national security for economic security. And this is why this bill is important. I support the bill, Mr. Speaker, sir.
I thank the Honourable Minister for his contribution to the debate.